Hey there, synth drones. Today I want to talk about Korg gets a pass. Hi, I'm Pure Ambient Drone. This is my channel where I vlog about synthesizers, kind of like the human side of synthesis. Hit the subscribe button and tap the bell. That way you'll get notifications every time that I do a new video. Support me over at patreon.com/Pure Ambient Drone. Check out the description of this video for links along with the comment as well. There's stuff over there that I don't include on this channel. I think you'll like it. All right, Korg gets a pass. What am I talking about? Well, you know, guys, I was thinking about something and I get a lot of comments and I read a lot of comments on other videos as well about how Roland's boutique have too small of controls. The knobs are too tiny, the sliders are too small, the units are itsy bitsy. And I got to thinking when I was looking at my Korg Volcas, they're just as small. And I have yet to hear any major complaints about how tiny small the Korg Volcas are. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Some of you are thinking, well, I love my Korg Volca and I'm not really happy with my boutiques. Some of you are thinking that because I was in the same boat with you. Korg got a total pass on miniaturizing the synthesizer, and the synth drone world hardly batted an eye about it. Didn't even really notice what they were doing. In fact, Roland thought maybe they could cash in on the Volca success by making their line of boutiques. Now, before you think that this video is a bash on Roland, it's not. Roland makes some very high quality, great sounding digital synthesizers. And they even came out with a few analog synthesizers, the SY22 and the JDXA. Not a bad set of synthesizers, if you ask me. But when it came to their boutiques, they did not get a pass. A lot of people were very angry at the tiny little control surfaces. And when you look at a Korg Volca, they have tiny little knobs. They only have an input for MIDI. And, you know, they pretty much got a pass. But I'm going to tell you probably why Volca got a pass and the Roland boutiques didn't. The Volcas are analog, and the market has been proving over and over and over for a long time that home studio synth drones are after the analog sound. Analog has been making a comeback for a really long time. But there's more to it than just analog. Korg did an amazing, fantastic job when they came out with their Volca bass, even their beats, and I would say even their keys. They did a fabulous job. You could get an analog synthesizer for under $200 delivered to your door, and they sound amazing, and they fit perfect in a mix, and they have real-time control, and they have a sequencer, and yeah, they're at times a little finicky. They can be a little bit of a learning curve when it comes to trying to play them live, but they're fantastic machines. But aren't the Roland boutiques pretty awesome in their own way too? I mean, they have a lot of the features, if not more in some cases, than the Volcas did. But let me tell you where Roland went wrong and Korg didn't. When Korg released their Volca line, they weren't trying to imitate yesteryear's machines by saying, here is a remake of one of our vintage machines, but we're calling it a Volca, and we miniaturized it. Roland made the mistake of coming out and saying, here's a Jupiter 8 in the form of a JP8 boutique with 4 voices. How do you have a Jupiter 8 with 4 voices? Oh, and by the way, it's digital, not analog like the original. It was almost like Roland forgot how to do what they used to do best and was trying to imitate as best they could. In other words, they became a foggy copy, smeared Xerox, if some of you know what the term Xerox means, of themselves. They distorted their image with the boutiques. Now, I went off and I bought the JU6. I bought 2 of them and I chained them together. Now, I wasn't happy with the results. It just did not feel like a Juno 106. Now, I do own a Roland Juno 106 after I tried that route. I was very disappointed with the boutiques. And the only one that I have at the date of this video is the SY22. It does sound fabulous. But note, it's analog. And it's real tiny. And I can give it a pass because it sounds really good. And it has some pretty cool features like the sequencer and whatnot. But Korg really got a complete pass on the tininess, on the itsy bitsiness. And Roland didn't. They really didn't. And I guess the point of this whole video is why. And I just stated some of the reasons that could be possible reasons, or maybe all of them combined. But I think it proves something to us. Synth drones will put up with tininess and clunkiness if something sounds fantastic. If something to our ears is appealing and hits the ears in the right way, gives us that warmth, that thick analog lush sound that we're after. I think that it proves that if we get that, we're very forgiving. But what we don't like is someone trying to pull the wool over our eyes and saying, here is a remake of an analog vintage classic machine that is legendary in a tiny little box that has been digitized. I think, in my opinion, that synth drones were insulted. I think their intelligence were insulted. I think that their feelings were hurt because for years they had been begging Roland to reissue their machines of yesteryear. And they did it in a very unexpected, unwelcoming way. With that being said, I own some Roland products. The only one that I own now is the FA06 and the JD-XI. That's the only 2 I own. And the reason being is because I sold off all of their newer gear because they're too digital. They sound too clean, they sound too perfect, and their analog modeling engine, whatever you want to call it, I know there's a name for it, supernatural, to me doesn't sound analog in any way, shape, or form. But it does sound good in its own right. If you like making clean, crisp, beautiful sounding music. I don't like making clean, perfectly sound music. I like making organic music, music that has life to it, that has a vibe to it. Analog is the closest you can get in synthesis that brings an acoustic character to the music. And what I mean by acoustic is it's almost like, with analog, it's almost like the sound is traveling organically and dynamically and producing something that's more alive than a static digital signal to my ears. It's what I like, and it's what I go for. The only digital synth that I use in any of my productions, and it's even more rare now than before, is the Access Virus TI-2. It's an amazing machine. For a long time, I had the Access Virus C, and I was very happy with that. But once I actually got to try in person a TI-2, I realized that Access, who hasn't really done anything, I think, since 2012, has really brought to the table something amazing. It is a virtual analog. To my ears, sounds better than the Rolands. And it is probably one of the closest emulations you can get to an analog machine, especially for pads. And so when people ask me which digital synth should I get, I do, steer them towards the Access Virus TI. They did it right. They squeezed it down into a box, but they gave you large knobs, or at least, finger-sized knobs where you can reach things. And I think that they did such a great job, it's hard for them to improve on that. So with that being said, what do you guys think? What VA would you call comparable to analog? What synth company do you think deserves more credit for effort? And do you think that it's fair that Synthdrones basically gave Korg a pass when it came to their miniaturizing their gear? And do you think that Roland has got a fair shake? Or it was unfair for people to criticize their small boxes? Comments below are where we talk about these things. I really enjoy reading through them. I try to answer questions when I see them on there. If you do have a question, put a question mark at the end of your comment. Sometimes YouTube will catch that as a question, and I can filter that and try to get to you guys. The channel is growing, and I appreciate that. I really do. Check out some of the new Korg Volcas that are coming out on the market today. And check out the Access Virus TI if you haven't already done that. It's worth a second look. And a lot of the bugs that were plaguing it in the early days have been pretty ironed out. I haven't had any problems with it. So you guys might want to check those companies out. Until next time, keep calm and synth on.